Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. Today's webinar is part 5 of a 5-part series specifically designed to show new members and existing members some very important member-level functions here in BNI Connect. We started off this series about a week ago with how to fill out your profile. Then we moved on to how to use the referral slips in BNI Connect. After that, we went into the social media side, the connections and the groups and the testimonials. We ended off that past week with the tools and reports in BNI Connect, and today we're going to, cap off the series with visitors, both inviting visitors and registering visitors for upcoming meetings. Before we get started, just wanted to give you a couple of real quick housekeeping things about webinars in general. By the way, if you are here with me today, March 27th, 2017, you are privileged to be on a live webinar. So that means that as we're going through, you can ask questions. So if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to type those questions into the questions panel. For example, Deep Teeb just said, "Hi everyone, this is Dee. Glad to have you on board, Dee. Welcome to the webinar." And I can respond to those questions and comments as we're going through the material today. Now, I schedule these to be about a half hour, give or take a couple of minutes. I know that you guys take time out of your busy lives and your busy schedules to dedicate to learning more about BNI Connect and helping your chapters out, but I do want to be respectful of that time as well. So we try to keep these to about a half hour apiece, and I appreciate you taking the time to be here today. Now, if you are listening to this in the future, that means that you have caught one of our recordings. We do record all of these webinars and make them available in a couple of different places. Usually within a couple of days, I'll have them uploaded to a couple of places, both our YouTube channel, youtube.com/BNI Connect Global, as well as on our support site, which you can access by clicking on the question mark in BNI Connect. All right, so enough of that. Let's get started with today's content. And again, we're going to talk about visitors. And the exciting thing about BNI Connect and visitors is that they've streamlined the process considerably in order to kind of step through it all the way from when you first are inviting a visitor to the follow-up thank you email after the visitor host has marked that visitor as attended. So what you're looking at now, by the way, on your screen is just a quick flow chart for how the visitor process works. And by the way, this graphic is part of a 53-page manual that I wrote on BNI Connect. Now you'll see that in this GoToWebinar software, there's a little thing called handouts, and you should see a handout in there that's a Word document. That is that's the 53-page manual. If you would like to take a look at that, please download it, and you are welcome to share it with other people in your chapter. The other thing is, if you're listening to this in the future, you may email us, support@bniconnect.com, and we'll be happy to email that to you after the fact. But what I'm going to talk about today are really the first 2 steps of this process: the inviting visitors process as well as the registering visitors process. And this is really exciting because what this has helped me with, for example, is the fact that I'm sure that at some time or another you may have invited a visitor that didn't show up to the meeting. Now, I know they say they're going to show up, but sometimes they just don't. And this whole process can really help you by having more of those visitors actually show up and less of them skip the meeting. So let's take a look at these couple of pieces of the process. So first, we're going to look at this visitor invitation email. So the visitor invitation email, so BNI Connect has developed, and in conjunction with the marketing department in BNI, the ability to invite a visitor to your chapter. And now we can do this just through BNI Connect, and you'll also be able to do it with the upcoming app that we'll have in just a couple of weeks in some cases and months in other cases. But the way to invite somebody is we do need to kind of go to the scary places beyond the home screen here and look at some of the other functions in BNI Connect. To do that, we're going to have to click on these menus up here at the top. So the way that I remember where stuff is in BNI Connect, the network's going to be all these networking components, the groups, the connections, the testimonials. The other things are under operations and reports, operations and reports. Now, operations, whenever you want to do something in BNI Connect, operations is the place to go. That's where you're going to do data entry and create things and do things like enter goals and deal with visitors. Reports, on the other hand, are always going to be read only. So to send out a visitor invitation, the place that we're going to go is the operations menu. So if we go to operations, so we'll see a bunch of things on the left-hand side. We have managing visitors and meeting management and managing goals, but the thing that we want right here is create email. So you'll see under create email that we have a couple of different options. By the way, this email my chapter thing, the first thing on the list, it's a great way to get the most current distribution list for your chapter. You can always run that and it will show you all of the current email addresses for your chapter. But the one that we're looking at right now is the email visitor invitation. Now, once we get here, there's only a couple of things we have to fill out. Now, I'm going to give you a little caveat here before we go ahead and send a visitor invitation. One thing to keep in mind is that BNI is not a spam organization, right? We don't believe in spamming people. We are also not a cold call organization. In other words, most of us joined BNI so as not to make cold calls. Now, if you think back to your member success program, what is the bare minimum requirement for something to be a referral? Well, the bare minimum requirement is that somebody is expecting your call or somebody is willing to take your call. Now, these visitor invitations that we're sending through BNI Connect should be treated the same way because what you're doing is you are referring the BNI experience to a potential visitor. You are referring your chapter to a potential visitor. So this should be treated as really the follow-up to a verbal invitation. So for example, let's say that you're out at a networking event and you meet somebody and say, hey, why don't you come to my BNI meeting? Do you mind if I send you an invitation? At that point, they're willing to receive it. They're going to open it. They're going to read it. They're going to look at it. They're not going to see this random email mixed in with all the other newsletters and emails that we get on a daily basis. And they're not going to just see it as a piece of spam. They're going to be expecting it in their email. So again, this should be the follow-up to a verbal invitation. So we just need to invite somebody. So let's go ahead and invite somebody. So I'm going to invite John Smith from Smith Co. Now, you just need to put the person's email address. Now, a carbon copy will be sent to you, so you will see what it looks like. You'll see how it works, and more importantly, you'll know that it went out and it was delivered to that other person. So I'm going to be sending this to, I'm actually going to send it to my own email address just so that we see what happens when it comes in. By the way, if you'd like to just test this out and see how it works, feel free to play along on your computer and go ahead and send yourself an invitation. We're not keeping track of these email addresses. We're not building up a big prospecting database or anything like that. This is just a means to get a professionally written and well-worded invitation to a potential visitor. Now, if you'd like to, you can put a personal message and that will appear at the top of the invitation. So you can put something in that reminds them and lets them know that you are the one that's sending this. For example, it was great meeting you at the networking event. I look forward to seeing you at my chapter meeting. Remember to RSVP below. Right, and then I can go ahead and click send. Once I click send, it's going to wrap that up in a nice little package and deliver it. And it's going to send that out to the email address that I specified. And this should go out right away. I mean, you'll be surprised how quickly you get it in your email. And I do have a copy of it here, and actually this is the older version of this. You can see here it has the BNI invitation. It was great meeting you. I'd like you to come and visit my BNI chapter. So this one is actually for my Antarctica chapter up in my test region. Tell you what, I'm going to send another one real quick because that is actually an old version I guess my colleague was testing in Antarctica, which is what it's there for, and replaced the email invitation with an old one. So let me just go and email another one real quick and show you what the new version looks like. So again, this is John Smith from Smith Co., and I'm going to email it to myself. And I'm just going to put this is a test. You guys get the point. And click send. And I should get this one in my email in just a second as well. And I believe that should be coming through in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here it is. Open that up and you guys should be able to see what this looks like. So this is actually the newer version of it. So here we go. It says, BNI, how will you grow your business? And it says, hi, John. And by the way, there's my test up here at the top. That would have been my personal message. How are you planning to build your business? And BNI has over 200,000 members. And this, again, was written by the marketing department, so it appeals to somebody who hasn't been to a BNI meeting before. This also directs them to the BNI.com website and has some more information about how BNI works, especially to, again, somebody who hasn't experienced BNI before. It also has all of the details for that chapter, and most importantly, right here, RSVP. So this is really what turns the tides on the whole visitor process, is that it allows the visitor to pre-register for the meeting. So they can click on this. It will bring them to that chapter page. So this is, again, the B2B chapter that I just sent myself an invite to. They just need to fill this out. They can choose a future date for visiting. You can't visit in the past unless you own a DeLorean. So you can choose what date you're going to visit, whether it's this week or a future week. Fill out the details here, including a little CAPTCHA at the bottom, and that will register you for that chapter. Now, if they don't RSVP, there are multiple ways to register that person as well. And by the way, we've just stepped into this second part of the process. So we were able to send an invitation. And again, now we're stepping into the pre-registration process. So different ways to do that. Again, they can click on that RSVP button right in that email. But if they don't, there's a couple of other ways this can happen. First of all, you can register them yourself. So I'm going to switch back over to my testing area. So I can go here to manage visitors and register a prospective visitor before a meeting. So again, this will do that same function. I can register somebody before the meeting. And there's always a third and fourth way to do things here. So the other thing I can do is go to AntarcticaReferrals.com, which is our test area in Antarctica. I can go to, for example, find a chapter, find the chapters, and let's say I would like to register for the BNI Burr chapter. I can do that by clicking on Visit This Chapter. There's also a Visit This Chapter button on the website. So let me just go ahead and register myself. So I'm going to register for this week's meeting on the 29th. And again, this is John Smith from Smith Co., phone number 401-445567, and the email address. And once again, I'm going to use my own email address just so we can see what this looks like. So industry and classification, let's see, I am a BNI professional. Who invited me? Jeremy Walsh invited me. And the CAPTCHA code, let's see, DGBBX, I believe that is. All right, so I have successfully registered to visit this meeting. Now, again, this right here is what completely changes the whole dynamic of everything, because what's happening now is they immediately get an email. So I just got this email saying, hey, oh, wrong one. That's the membership committee one. This one says, hey, John, thank you for your interest in BNI. And here's the most important part of this. You are officially confirmed to visit. You are officially confirmed to visit. This right here, this process right here, and the reminder that they'll get 2 days before the meeting, but most importantly, that right there is what changes the mentality of the visitor, because now Now they've made the step. They're obligated to attend the meeting. I'll tell you, I have a theory as to why a lot of visitors don't show up to the meeting. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that we do a very casual invitation. So, for example, I'm out there, I'm at a networking event, I'm meeting people. I see somebody that, might be a good fit, or I want to introduce them to my chapter. So I go to them, I say, hey, I'd love to introduce you to my chapter. Would you mind coming as a visitor? Sure, I'd love to. When is it? Well, it's Thursday at 7 o'clock. Awesome, no problem. I'll be there. That sounds great. Oh, by the way, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. Now they're thinking, yeah, 7 o'clock in the morning. Sure, I'll be there. No problem. And what happens? Well, a couple of days later, when the alarm clock goes off at, 30 in the morning, and they're thinking, wow, these guys are crazy. They meet this early in the morning. You know what? Nobody's going to miss me. It's just going to be another networking event. It's going to be 100 people there. You got to remember that these visitors have never seen a BNI meeting before. So they're just thinking it's another networking event. We know, because we're BNI members, we know that there's an agenda and that it's a purposeful meeting. They'll get a chance to introduce themselves to everybody in the room by giving a weekly presentation. All of this stuff we know, but they don't know. However, once they have confirmed and they've registered to visit that meeting, now they know that somebody's going to miss them if they don't show up. Now, on top of that, once they've registered, again, they will get a reminder 2 days before the meeting saying, hey, by the way, you registered for this meeting, please show up. But also, your leadership team gets a message. So the president, the vice president, the secretary treasurer, all of the visitor hosts, and the chapter director consultant. So all of those people get an email saying, congratulations, you have a visitor. Please be prepared to welcome them. It also has all of the contact information and all the details of that visitor. That's a great piece of information, because now the leadership team can be proactive about welcoming this visitor. So not just welcoming them when they walk through the door, but also, what about giving them a call ahead of time saying, hey, John, I see that you're a plumber, accountant, roofer, whatever else it might be. I can't wait to introduce you to the other people that are in your contact sphere that are going to be similar businesses. We've been looking for your profession for a while. Can't wait to see you at the meeting this week. Bring plenty of business cards. Why not have a visitor name badge already made up for them before they even walk through the door? The more you can make them feel welcome, the more that they'll be comfortable either using the businesses of the people that are in the room, or hopefully maybe even filling out an application to become a permanent member of the group. And then, of course, after the meeting, we also get a wonderful list of members that are attending. So if I go to the reports, I'll now have, if I scroll down to the bottom here, the visitor registration report. So I can see all of the visitors that are scheduled for the next upcoming meeting. And where this is really helpful is, let's say that you're having a visitors day. By having your visitors register, now you will have a complete list of all of the visitors that you're expecting at that visitors day, as well as who invited them. And then from a visitor host perspective, their lives just got so much easier, because now, rather than having to type in all the visitor information after a meeting or after a visitor's day, all they have to do is go back to the manage visitors. They can manage registered visitors. And let's take a look of registered visitors here. So John Smith, I could then go in, and all I'd need to do, rather than having to type everything in, is check off that the visitor attended. That's it. So, well, this is all great in theory, but does this process actually work? So I just want to give you a couple of quick examples. And, I'm a member. I don't know if I said that in the beginning, but I am a member. I've been a member since 2002 when I joined my chapter moving to Rhode Island here. And couple of years back when this was first being introduced, this whole visitor process, it was about 2012 or so. And at that time, I was actually the president of my chapter. So I kind of wanted to prove that this worked. So what I did was, I follow process. BNI has a lot of really smart people running the show, and they know what they're doing. And the Visitors Day process that BNI has, which is, the 40 letters and the phone calls and the 6-week process and the follow-up, that process works, and it works really, really well. So I didn't want to change that process because, again, they developed it and it works really well. However, I just wanted to add in this one little part that said, guys, we always have it that, we think all these visitors are coming and a lot of them don't show up. So what I'd like you to do is just, can you please, once you've confirmed with your visitor, can you please register your visitor for that meeting? So they agreed to do that, and every week during the process, hey, please register your visitors. Please register your visitors. And we get to the day before the Visitors Day, the week before the Visitors Day, and go around the room. Hey, John, how many visitors you have coming? Oh, I have 1 visitor coming. Hey, Sally, how many visitors you have coming? Oh, I have 2 visitors coming. Hey, Frank, how many visitors you have coming? Well, I don't have any visitors yet, but I'm really trying to get one for next week. So we go around the room, and my chapter's about 50 members. By the time we're done counting them up, we're going to have like 100 or 150 people there. I'm thinking, wow, this is going to be amazing. But when I went to BNI Connect, I noticed there were only 6 visitors listed. That's it. So I put this email together. Now, this isn't a BNI Connect email. I used the report that I just showed you minutes ago, and I copied that in. I used the email my chapter and got all the email addresses. And this link right here goes to the chapter page so that they could just click on it and register their visitors through the public website without having to log in. So when I sent this out, I started getting responses back because BNI Connect, I'm on the leadership team. So I was getting, hey, you've got a visitor, you've got a visitor, you've got a visitor. And by the next day, we had 21 registered visitors. So I'm like, hey, this email, this kind of works. So I sent it out again. 4 days, we had 26 registered visitors. 3 days, we had 34 registered visitors. 2 days, we had 29 registered visitors. 13 hours until our Visitors Day, and we had 45 registered visitors. Now, typically, on a Visitors Day, we'd expect somewhere between 10% and maybe 25% to show up. Now, when we went back, 42 out of the 45 of them showed up, and the 3 that didn't show up called and apologized, and they let us know that they weren't going to be able to make it. They asked if they could come back another week, to which we said, I'm sorry, this was a one-time only offer. No, I'm just kidding. Well, of course, we welcomed them back another week, and they actually came back. Even some of them submitted applications. We ended up with 9 total applications. Our net result from that was 8 new members. I would say that's a very successful Visitors Day. And you know what? If something works, you do it again. So lather, rinse, and repeat, and we did it again. The next time, I think we had 30 registered visitors, 25 showed up. We just did this process again about 2 months ago, and we had 50 registered visitors, and 47 of them showed up. The process works, and I'm telling you, it's all about that email reminder and the fact that they now feel that they are welcome at the meeting and that they're expected to be at the meeting. All right, so what I'd like to do now is to open this up to any questions. So does anybody have any questions about this whole process, about the whole Visitors Day process, the inviting visitors, registering visitors? I'd love to answer those questions now. Does anybody have any questions? All you need to do is type your question into the questions panel, and I will be happy to answer those questions. So again, questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, compliments. I love to hear them all. Alicia says, great information, no questions. All right, Cindy and Deepti, I see that you guys have your hands raised. I don't really have the ability to unmute microphones on this particular webinar. However, if you'd like to type your questions in, I'd love to answer those. Comments work as well, so if you have some comments, I'd be happy to read those off, Deepti. Cindy says, is this recorded and when will it be available? I am recording this. It usually takes me a couple of days to make it available, but here's how you find it. All right, so if you go into BNI Connect and really you go to any place in the system, do you see this question mark here in the upper right-hand corner? That question mark will take you to our support site. And on the support site, once you get there, you'll see live and recorded webinars. So our upcoming, by the way, a good referral for me. We have our April series posted. Please, I would love it if you shared that with your chapters. If there's anybody that needs to learn anything more about any of these processes, that would be a great referral for me to please let them know about these webinars. And here's where the recordings are. So we already have most of them uploaded for March. So you can see the ones here. So as these ones happen, I will get them uploaded. It'll probably take me a couple of days to get them, but here's where you can find them. If you really, really need to see a recording right away, just go to February. All of the February ones are up there, so you can check out the Step 5, inviting and registered visitors. Most of the content is the same. Obviously, we get different questions and interaction each time. Steve has a comment. He says, this really, really works in Arizona. So they are using it in Arizona, and he says it is working. So Cindy, I hope that answered your question. Carol says, I have a concern about 7 or more people possibly calling and bothering a potential visitor. So that would be something, Carol, that all you need to do is to work that out with your leadership team. So, I mean, you know, I'm on the membership. I'll give you an example, right? I'm on the membership committee of my chapter right now. So what we do is every time we get an application in, we go through and we say, hey, you know, who's going to call these members and who's going to call the references and who's going to do that? You just need to do the same thing with your visitor hosts and with your leadership team. You know, if it's always going to be the president that calls or it's always going to be a visitor host, I mean, there's enough jobs that you can split out to delegate that appropriately. But honestly, I mean, I would say yes, probably 7 people calling them, that would be obnoxious. But if it's a couple of people calling, maybe even 2 or 3 people, that's actually going to make that visitor feel a little bit important, like they're already greatly appreciated. Does that make sense, Carol? Does that help? Deepti says, lots of great information. Thank you, Dee. Alicia says, we're training our chapter on Wednesday on how to use BNI Connect. I will be sharing this. Thank you so much for sharing this. And again, make sure you download a copy of that document. And also, if you need a hard copy of this, I'm happy to do that as opposed to the one that's on the YouTube channel in case you're in a place that doesn't have streaming. So let's see. Otto says, would you please go over the part about where to go on the website to register a guest? I'm very new to BNI and couldn't find my password to get in. All right, so sure. I'll tell you the easiest way to do it. If you're already logged into BNI Connect, see this regional website button up here in the upper right-hand corner? Click that. That will take you to your regional website, which is, in my case, BNI Mass in Rhode Island. From there, I can go to Find a Chapter. I can just click on Find and I'll find all of them. And for example, my chapter, the Wakefield chapter here, we could just click on Visit this chapter. So that's the public way to get there. So anybody on the internet can get to that link, right? However, there's also a way inside BNI Connect. So if I'm back on the home page, the place I want to do that, anytime you want to do data entry or input, you go to Operations. And under Operations, there's Manage Visitors and register a prospective visitor. So that would be the place to go to find that. So hopefully that helps, Otto. Michael says, do have some comments about following up with visitors after the meeting, before and after the meeting? So, I mean, absolutely. Follow-up is one of the most important things. We really can't rely on email to give it that personal touch. I mean, the email part is good, but you really, that verbal phone call is the thing that really drives it home. both before and after the meeting. Now, after the meeting, once they've been marked as attended, they will get an automated email saying thank you for attending, but it really should, especially if you really are interested in that visitor, best thing you could possibly do is give them a call. Michael says, can you send me the email that you sent to the chapter members? Absolutely. I'll tell you what, Michael, can you do me a favor and send me an email, support@bniconnect.com. Again, support@bniconnect.com. And that would be, just say, please send a copy of the visitor reminder email to my chapter or something like that. I'll recognize that. I'll be able to send you a couple of copies of those. Keep in mind that the link that is in that email, you will need to change. So, you need to replace it with your link here. So this one's really long because it has all this code in it here. But if you go to Visit Chapter website and do this Visit Chapter one up here, this is a much shorter link, and you'll need to replace it with that link. The other way you can do that is if you send a visitor invitation to yourself, you can get that link from the RSVP button. Just right-click and choose Copy Link. So does that help, Michael? Brad says, I do not live in the city where my company has me in a BNI group. I don't know any business owners in this city. Needless to say, I'm experiencing some difficulty inviting guests. Brad, I have some suggestions. Start going to some Chamber of Commerce events and things like that that are in the area where your meeting is. After hours, breakfast events, things like that, in order to start getting in touch with the community. The other thing is, I'll give you another example. Where I am, I'm here in Rhode Island. My chapter, where we meet, is we're in the southern part of the state, which is kind of the vacation beach community part of the state. We actually have a ton of businesses that come to our meeting from the other side of the state because they actually want to break into this community. They want to get and do business in this particular community. So, you don't necessarily have to invite only people from that community. I mean, people join BNI not just because the BNI meeting is close to their house or the BNI meeting is close to their business, but it also could be where they want to do business, right? So what about people that you know from other areas that may still want to be a part of that meeting, right? A good referral source is a good referral source, and if you are, if you're successful in BNI, a lot of people, they don't care how far they have to drive or to be a part of that particular group. Does that help at all, Brad? Cheryl says, great webinar. Remind me, please, again, where to start the email process for the Visitors Day. So to send out the invitation, or Cheryl, to the like the whole Visitors Day process. If you're looking for the full 45-day visitors process, the best thing to do is talk to your director consultant, because they'll have a copy of all of those emails and things like that. If you're just looking to send an invitation, you go to the operations menu. So again, operations, and then under create email, email visitor invitation, and this will send that out to you. So that would be the place to go for that. Hopefully that helps, Cheryl. All right, I think that was the last question. Do we have any other questions or comments, concerns, compliments, complaints, whatever? Love to help you out with that. Again, this is the half-hour time limit is just to make sure that we get through the content for people that do need to leave right away. But I am always happy to stay on these webinars until every single question has been answered. This is what I do all day, every day. I live, eat, and breathe BNI Connect, and happy to continue to answer questions. All right, but it looks like we don't have any more questions, and that's perfectly okay as well. If you come up with anything, after we hang up today, do feel free to absolutely, shoot me an email, support@bniconnect.com. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter and all sorts of things. Happy to help in any way that we can. I wish you continued success in your chapters and happy connecting.